Let's get stuck into some translating of War and Peace into Aussie. Aussie. There's 0 viewers, so I guess I'm just talking to anyone who watches this on replay until some viewers drop in. I'll just show you what I've got here. Coffee and steamed milk and oh yeah, that's good. Nice strong one. And you drink it and you love it, and yeah, that's basically it. And you top it up. Oh, that's good. Papa likey. What? Alright, let's get some translating done. I think this is a relatively short chapter. Let's have a little scroll. Oh yeah, okay, that is a short chapter. It only got up to the in the test, so that's pretty short. Let's go again. Okay, yeah, so it's about 14 burps. Good to know, good to know. Alright, cool. I'm losing my mind. That same evening, there was an animated discussion among the squadron officers in Denisov's quarters. Okay. Animated discussion. There was a big hurrah. No, not a hurrah. That's already a Russian word. There was a big kerfuffle. There was a big fuss. Getting all up in arms about it. Having a big old chin wag. That's Aussie. Chin wag. I've got so much stuff in the way right now. Luminel. There we go. A little bit extra table space going. That's what's up. That same evening, shite. Sorry about that. Dropped my microphone slightly. Alright, this, I need to get a better microphone stand. This one is annoying. In fact, I've got a better microphone stand like in the next room. I've got plenty of spares. I just haven't set it up on this desk yet. Anyway, later that evening, there was a big, what's the word I'm looking for? Big. Among the squadron's officers. What the hell? Officers. In. Oh, there's so many names with so many things. And I tell you, Rostov, that you must apologize to the colonel, said a tall, grizzly-haired staff captain with enormous moustaches, plural, and many wrinkles on his large features. To Rostov, who was crimson with excitement. Okay. Down here, Rostov. You've apologize to the colonel. So the tall, grizzly-haired staff captain, an enormous, mustache, jeepers. That big wrinkly face. Rostov, who was going all red in the face. The staff captain Kirsten had twice been reduced to the ranks for affairs of honour and had twice regained his commission. Cried Rostov. Oh man. He might keep me on duty every day, or might place me under arrest, but no one can make me apologise, because if he, as commander of this regiment, thinks it's beneath his dignity to give me satisfaction, then... keep me on duty. Under arrest. Make me apologize. Listen a sec. Interrupted the staff captain in his deep bass voice, calmly stroking wait just a moment. You tell the colonel in the presence of other officers that an officer has stolen. I'm not to blame that the conversation began in the presence of other officers. Wait. Love me a coffee. So wait, you tell the colonel. Who's the colonel? Denisov? You tell the colonel in the presence of other officers. I'm not to blame for the conversation in the presence of other officers. I've spoken to them, but I am not diplomat. So I was thinking that they're I need finesse. I'm lying, so let him give me. It's in conversation. I really know what to put that. I'm trying to figure out here. Who was this colonel that he did all this in front of? Was that someone who was at the inn and overheard the whole kerfuffle? I think that's what's happened. You tell the colonel in the presence of... You told the colonel. Other officers here. Officer had stolen. Dot. Skadunk. I'm not. It's not my fault. Conversation started. Officers. I've spoken anything there. Oh no. Diplomatist. Is that a diplomat? Let him give me... I don't know what this is meant by let him give me satisfaction. And in fact, I'm going to mark this to check it against another version. And that's a good thing to do because it's good, etc. That's all right. No one thinks you a coward. That's not the point. Ask Denisov. what he reckons. Should a cadet demand satisfaction of his regimental commander? Denisov the quarters. Denisov sat there all gloomy for a sec, hiding his moustache. So many mustaches in this chapter. And listening to the not wanting. Answered the staff. Staff. Captains. Oh, sorry, I'm getting stuck right into this. Hello, if you're watching. Say good day in the chat. I didn't think anyone was watching, so I was just like going straight into it. Just getting stuck in. But feel free to say hello. What you doing? How are you? How are you liking War and Peace so far? All the rest. By a disapproving shake of his head. You go to the colonel. Listen. Officers. Continued the staff captain. And Bog Danish. It's like this. Hey guys, sorry. I was just like in the zone, just typing. What's up? Hi. Hi. How's my camera here? That's my dog in the background there. Her name's Lupa. She's a Kelpie cross blue heeler. The most Australian dog you can get. Part dingo. Fun fact, blue heelers have dingo DNA in them. That's where the red comes in. Oh, it's Dan. Hey, I have a follow-up from something you were talking about on New Year's Eve, about long sentences. Oh yeah, do tell. Do tell. Oh, and Dan, you've got Briggs, don't you? Was it you that had the Briggs version? I wouldn't mind getting you to look up something if you do in this chapter. Alright, what was I doing here? It's like this. The case is this. There we go. You ought to have thought the matter over and taken advice. You should have thought it over and taken advice. But no. You piss off and run your mouth. In front of the officers. I noticed in Maud you were reading in the second paragraph of the book. Maud breaks up that sentence into two. Oh, you got done again. Oh, was this in the previous chapter? I'm not sure which sentence. So Maud breaks up some of the sentences. That's interesting because there's some really long sentences that I'm considering breaking up. Or I have even broken up some sentences. In fact, even the one I'm working on right now goes from there to there, and then from here to here. Oh, those aren't so long, but in chapter 1. Oh, in chapter 1, like way back. Yeah, okay. Pulled up the Russian, and that sentence in the first sentence of narration after Anna Pavlovna's opening monologue is one sentence. So translators are cool with taking sentences apart. Also, the paragraph breaks are different. Oh, that's interesting to note too. This version does have weird paragraph marks, and I'm leaving them in. But oftentimes a character will say something and then do something and then say something, and they're all broken up. Whereas typically if it's a character saying, doing, it's just one character. Often they don't paragraph mark them, or not so much at least. There's lots of paragraph marks in this. But I'm cool with that. That's kind of like a stylistic choice at that point, I think. So the Russian has even longer sentences. I reckon there must be something about the Russian language, the syntax of their written language that allows for those bigger sentences. And you can do it in English, obviously. There's sentences in this book, in the Maud translation, that go for like half a page. It's crazy. There'd be the length of 4 paragraphs and it's one sentence. It's really, really insane. But I want to preserve that because I really like the way Tolstoy does that, but not every time. Some of them it's just like, it's a clunky one. There's some that he hasn't done that well, or at least Maud hasn't done that good of a job of translating it. And so if it's too clunky, I'm fine to break it up a little bit in this version. I don't know, Dan, if you've got your Dunnigan there. But I would love your advice on this up here. So this is book 2, what am I on? Chapter 5. And young Rostov has gotten himself in a bit of trouble because he went up to a colonel. Yeah, that's right. They are part of the aesthetic. I wouldn't go snipping up his sentences. The long sentences are part of the aesthetic, I think. I 100% agree. But then again, like, this is clearly a departure from the authentic aesthetic. So I'm preserving it. So it's still apparent, but I'm not too precious about it sometimes if I want to break it. It is also kind of satisfying to pull off one of the massive sentences and read it back and go, whoa, that's a 1 paragraph long sentence that still unravels in a logical fashion and you can read it. That's kind of cool. All right, so Rostov has caught an officer stealing, and then apparently he's gone and found the colonel of the regiment and run his mouth. He's told the colonel about this guy who was stealing. But the problem is that makes their regiment look bad, and he's done that in a public place in front of other officers. So now everyone knows about this one guy who had done some sort of petty little theft. And it's the kind of thing that could have got swept under the rug or, like, you know, dealt with quietly, but now he's kind of given his own regiment a bad reputation. That's the context here. Now, the colonel is accusing Rostov of lying, and I think he's just doing that to sort of save face, so that he doesn't have to, you know, reprimand his whole regiment and, you know, probably get, like, investigated or whatever. And all the people in Rostov's squadron are telling him, you've got to go and apologize to that colonel and tell him that you were lying, even though you weren't. And Rostov's like, bullshit, I'm not going to do it. I wasn't lying. Okay. He keeps saying that he wants the colonel to give him the satisfaction. He thinks it's beneath his dignity to give me satisfaction. And then here, thinking that here one would not need finesse. He tells me that I'm lying, so let him give me satisfaction. And here, it's not out of the question for a cadet to demand satisfaction from his regimental commander. I keep using that terminology, and I don't 100% know what he's getting at by saying that, and I wonder if other versions have used a different wording for what Rostov wants from this colonel when he says he wants satisfaction. So, if you could look that up, tell me what it says in Dunnigan, I'd be very much appreciative. That's chapter 5, book 2, chapter 5. And it's in the first sort of page of that, I reckon. Alright, I'm going to go back down to where I was up to. Now, you piss off and run your bloody mouth in front of the officers. What? Satisfaction, yeah. What option? What else could the colonel do? Have the officer and disgrace the whole regiment. Dunnigan's got the same wording. I need to get some more versions of the book to just have on hand so I can do this. That's what I need to do. I think it's a P and V that has the simplest wording. Yeah. I've been looking at some of the various translations, and it really looks to me like some of them that weren't translated from Russian to English. It really looks like they've just got the Maud version and, like, tinkered with it in a similar way to what I'm doing, but without, you know, obviously trying to make it goofy. But because some of them are so similarly worded to it, it's just like they've just taken a sentence and you almost used synonyms or the same words and just kind of rearranged them slightly. And it just, I don't know, it really just looks like a slight tweak of Maud a lot of the times. I have the P and V from the library in my house, but I'm home for Christmas, so I don't have it with me. Well, it's one of the ones I've marked here with a comment. Where's my comment? Oh, there. To check it against another version. So I'll go back and I'll do that at some point. Uh, this is a pretty short chapter. This shouldn't only take me, another half hour or so. So that's exciting to have a short one today. Home for Christmas. So what, you've gone back to see your folks, or what's the deal there? A funny thing happened to me this year, Dan, that my dad has lived down at the beach, about 2 hours from where I grew up. My dad lived at this beach town in Victoria, and that's my hometown. I was born there, and every other weekend I'd go there, and I'd spend school holidays there, and it's always just been sort of my other home. And a couple of days ago, between Christmas and New Year's, him and my stepmom, they up and left. They've sold their house down there, and they've moved up to Queensland, which is sort of the equivalent of moving like from LA to New York or something. Like, it's the other sort of end of the country. Um, Actually, it's probably more equivalent of moving from San Diego to, I don't know, Portland or something like that. Wait, where's Portland? Is that that's on the West Coast, isn't it? Seattle is what I meant to say. Anyway, so they've moved up to sunny Queensland, where it's all beaches, good weather, you know, typical Aussie, what you picture, surfing and that, having a beer and that. Um, but now if I go back to my hometown, I don't have anywhere to put my bags, I don't have a home there anymore. I'd have to get a hotel. I'd have to use a public toilet, right? So it's an odd thing, that feeling. Like, that just came into my head because you said you're like back home for Christmas, and like this Christmas was really like the last year where I could do a back home for Christmas sort of thing, because yeah, my hometown isn't really my hometown anymore. So it's a kind of a strange feeling. I suppose it hasn't dawned on me yet because I only go there every, recently in recent years, a couple of times a year, maybe like 2 or 3 times. So it hasn't really been long enough for me to feel it yet. But in a year's time or 2 years' time, when I probably won't go back there, there's no real reason to go back there. I don't know. It's weird. And even if I do go back there, I'd just feel like I was doing a day trip, but there'd be sort of no one there to visit. Yeah. Wild. Yeah, I'm staying at my parents' house for a week or two, then going back to Minnesota. I'm in school and class starts Jan 11th. I'll be with my parents in like 10 or 20 years. Moving to warmer climates. I mean, there's a massive plus for this. Now my dad lives in Queensland, which is just like the holiday destination in Australia, It's, I don't know. It's awesome. We can go up to the coast, we can go surfing and all the rest. So I said that he lived at the beach my whole life. He did live at the beach, but that's the Victorian beach where it's freezing cold. It's not like it's not like a California beach. It's just like the ocean sort of thing. Now he lives at like a California beach. So that's a big plus. Your parents in 10 or 20 years. Yeah, well, it's a good thing. Are you in school? Are you high school, university? What's the deal? College, I think you call it over there. Um, you want to disgrace the whole lot of us over one dickhead thief? Is that how you see it? We don't like that. And Bogdanich. What do you think this means? Grad school for piano. Oh, awesome. A piano player. Graduate school means after high school, right? So you'd be, what, around 20-ish years old, 19, 18. Is that what grad school is? We've got different words for everything over here. We say primary school for kids, and then which is kind of like your junior school, I think. And then we got high school, which is teenagers up until about 17 or 18. And then once you're out of high school, you go to university. Uni, or which I think is what you call college. After college. So you've got a college degree in music of some kind or piano. Is it? That's awesome. That's really cool. I'd love to go to just like a music college and live that life. I'm assuming it's better than that film, Whiplash. Music, and then took a few years off from 28. Oh, dude, that's sick. Good on you. You got you got some what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know, some classy interests. Classy, classic literature, piano. You go on to college, studying music. You got your head on straight. You're not just playing Fortnite and whatnot. Haven't seen Whiplash. You should watch Whiplash. It's pretty intense. It's about a drummer at a jazz college, learning jazz drums, and his teacher, J.K. Simmons, plays the teacher, and it's kind of like he tries to psychologically break this student in order to get the best performance out of him. It's almost like a kind of Black Swan thing where it's like they're pursuing their art so hard that it's like at the expense of their own sanity. It's pretty good. Um, Question. This line here. Now the colonel who accused Rostov of lying, he did it to avoid having a scandal in his regiment. It's easier to just say, no, you're lying about the thief than having to admit that there's a thief in your own ranks. He says, Bogdanich was a brick. What's meant by brick, do you reckon? Like he was like a rock? Like he was unmovable? He was firm in his decision? Unshakable. Go for that for now. Straight up of lying. Is there a lot of background noise on my microphone? I think I can apply some filters here to try and get rid of that. Filters, noise suppression. Done. Does that make it sound any better? I don't know if it does. Hang on, let me try again. Filters. Not noise suppression. What's the other one called? Noise gate. There we go. That's much less noisy. Very cool. There we go. Upgraded. I remember in the... That. Why is that blanked out? We just finished. Philip referred to someone as a real brick, or Mildred called Philip Brick, and it meant he was a good guy who helped out. Ah. Yeah, okay. Did you a favour. Did us all. Bogdanovich did us all a favour. He accused you of straight up lying. There you go. Sounds the same to me. I just heard a car drive past. I think that might be kind of loud to filter out. Yeah, you'll I think if it happens while I'm speaking, it'll come through the gate. But there's quite a lot of traffic noise at my house, so can't do much about the loud cars, unfortunately. Except I am moving in a couple of months, so that's exciting, to a much quieter suburb, in a much more modern house, although I do love my little cottage that I live in. Alright, so I've gone with this. Oh, this isn't lined up. I keep doing that. You know what it is? Every time I go to look at a comment, like here, I go across to read the comment, and then when I finish, I don't line it back up properly, so the stream. Let's see. That exciting. The move. Yeah, it is exciting. I really like my house here, to be honest, but it's small. It's small but very cozy. And whenever I try to film things in here, like if I'm trying to film stuff for YouTube or whatever, it just never works out because there's not enough. The rooms are so small that you can't set up cameras with good angles. So I don't know, just never really works out. It's fine for doing this kind of thing, but anyway, okay, I'm talking so much crap today. Bogdanich was a brick. So I've gone like this. Bogdanich did us all a favor. He accused you of lying. It's not pleasant, but it had to be done. Right. You put yourself in this mess. And now, when one wants to smooth the thing over, some conceit prevents you apologizing, and you wish to make the whole affair public. To fix the whole situation. Still too proud. Is conceit. To apologize. Bogdanovich did well to tell you you weren't speaking the truth. Yeah, cool. So you were right about that being a brick. I thought a brick was like an insult. All right, a stand-up dude, because he thought on his feet. He said to Rostov, "No, you're lying," and it sounds unpleasant to be told you're lying, but if you understood the politics behind the situation, no, he was doing us a favor by saying you're lying, because if you're not lying, then this whole regiment is going to get investigated. So you're lying, wink. That's what's going down here. Cool. It's good when you understand what's happening in a book you're reading. You landed yourself in it, and now we're trying to fix the whole situation, but you're still too proud to apologize. You want to make this whole thing public. I know I thought it was an insult too, which confused me when Mildred called Philip a brick. Yeah, that now makes sense. I just thought that she was giving him shit this whole time, but well, I mean, she probably was in some way. Old Mildred. Why'd you have to bring up Mildred? I just forgot about that horrible person. She was the worst. Good book though. I actually really liked that book. Even though the good thing about that book, or the thing that was well done, is how there was like no like redeeming qualities. Oops, shit. For any of the characters. Like they were just terrible people. But yet it was an enjoyable book, and you enjoyed the spectacle of them flailing about in their stupid lives. That was well done. Usually if you don't like any characters, it can be hard to get into a book. You are offended at being put on duty a bit, but why not apologize to an honourable officer? Offended at being put task here, but why not apologize to an whatever he might be, Bogdanovich, wise, brave colonel. You're too easily offended. You're fine with disgracing our whole regiment. Oh golly. This is going to be a quick one. I'm nearly there. Fanging through it. That's good. I don't even think that this is a particularly short chapter. I think the previous few have been particularly long chapters. Yesterday's one I went for about 2.5 hours on the stream, although I did talk a lot of trash. But then spent probably another hour outside of the stream finishing up that chapter. It was a bloody thingy. Fine disguise and Horman. The staff captain's voice began to was trembling now. I like wording things like that in a more conversational way. You know, I really think I'm the man for the job for this, because in my own books I always go for conversational. So that line saying, wait, where am I up to? I need to really pay better attention to where I'm up to. The staff captain's voice began to tremble. And I say the staff captain's voice was trembling now. To me, the casualness is more natural. So this is a walk in the park to actually do this. It's just kind of translating it into my natural laziness. Laziness? Casualness is probably the word. You have been in the regiment next to no time, my lad. You're here today, and tomorrow you'll be appointed adjutant somewhere, and you can snap your fingers when it is said there are thieves, and can snap your fingers when it is said there are thieves among the Pavlograd officers. It's not all the same to us. Am I not right? Okay. Makes no difference to you. You've been in the regiment all of 20 seconds. And you'll be gone just as fast. They'll make you someone's adjutant or something. And snap your fingers and disgrace our whole regiment as thieves. A pack of thieves. The whole, I'm going to use the word Pavlov. To you, but it matters to us. Denisov. Gonna hop off and keep practicing piano. See you later. Thanks for dropping in, Dan. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for looking up those references. You'll have to let us know where we can check out some of your piano playing, if it's on YouTube or something like that. That'd be awesome. Alright, catch you later. Denisov. See you later. You value your own pride and don't wish to apologize. You value your own pride, don't wish to apologize. Continue to suck it. We old fellows who have grown up in and, God willing, are going to die in the regiment, we prize the honour of the regiment, and Bogdanich knows it. Oh, we do prize it, old fellow. And all this is not right. It's not right. You may take offence, but not, or not. But I always stick to mother truth. It's not right. Okay. Hey. Hey, Hark. Amanda. More of our... Oh, yeah, I've seen your name, More of Our Marvels, on the sub. I think I read some of your comments in one of the podcasts. Done some translation work, Spanish to English in the past, but it has been a few years. Well, you've done real translating. As you can see, I'm translating from English to English, so I don't know if that really counts as translating. I'm translating from old school English to Aussie English. A bit of a language barrier there, so I suppose I'm bridging that gap. Good to meet you. So you speak Spanish. Oh, that's cool. Where are you from? What am I up to here? You value your own pride. Bogdanich knows it. It's also real translating. Kansas. Oh, cool. Very nice. Very cool. So how are you liking War and Peace so far? You'd be 2 chapters in by now. This is, by the way, we're translating a couple of chapters ahead. This is book 2, chapter 5. But it's not going to spoil much to hang out while we do this. This is a pretty kind of confined scene as well. What's happening here, it's just a little aside that one of the characters done. So it's not really any major spoiler or anything. How are you going with the book so far? The first couple of chapters are pretty daunting the first time you read them because it kind of just throws you in there. And there's a lot of context that, well, being 200 years later, no, is it? Yes, 200 years later, the context of that setting is, you know, originally it was assumed that readers would just kind of know what it was like at that time and place, but now it's, you know, it's very foreign to us now. So we're kind of thrown in the deep end, but I hope that the subreddit and the conversations is enough to get you up to speed. But the thing is, what's really cool is once you've read it and then, you know, had it all explained if you need that, or looked up the bits you don't understand, etc. And then later, if you go back and read the start of the book again, it's really, I don't know, it's really satisfying to read the second time around. This is the kind of book that you can definitely do a rereading of. Going along fine so far. Easier with my podcast. Yeah, cool. Oh, that's the idea of it. I can't take too much credit. I just read what's on the subreddit, really. But I'm glad it's helping. Oh, we do prize it, old fellow. I'm a reader and have experienced that with many works. But it absolutely is enough to keep me up to speed. There's nothing worse than getting stuck into a book and once you're 100 pages in, just going, what is even going on in this book? Like, if too much of it goes over your head, you get to that point where you're like, do I keep going and hope it makes sense later? Do I have to go back and reread it? And most books that's not an issue, but books like this, they're quite dense. They're quite contextual. Yeah, there's a real risk of that happening with a book like War and Peace. That's why I waited so long to read War and Peace. I always wanted to, and just was always had that fear of like, oh, I don't want to get stuck into it and then just quit halfway or not get it. I don't want to feel dumb. So I just never did. And it was funny, all my students, I teach creative writing, whenever they'd ask for a book recommendation, oh Andy, what should I read? I'd always throw them a copy of War and Peace, even though I'd never read it. And I'd always tell them to read War and Peace. Our joke was it's the book that every writer should read, but none of them have. Where am I up to here? And the staff captain rose and turned away from Rostov. You know what? I'm not even going to translate that line. Right. That's twoo. That'll take it. Damn it. Shouted Denisov. Oh, nope. Jumping up. Rostov. You've heard that one? It's the book every writer must read, but none of them have. What am I doing here? Oh, caught on my rug. Nearly finished. This chapter's a short one. Just got to get stuck into it. So, have you listened to the Chapter 2 podcast yet? I'm asking because I'm curious how you found the reading of Chapter 2 in the Aussie version. Having some good reports, people saying that it's easier to understand. Oh no, no, you're not interrupting at all. You're saying, I want to introduce myself and say hi. I don't want to be interrupting your work. It's all good. That's I wouldn't be live streaming my workflow if I didn't want to chat and hang out with people at the same time. So, I mean, I'm aware that when I do it this way, it's going to take longer, but it's also much more pleasant to hang out with people and chit chat rather than just kind of sitting alone and working on this thing for hours on end. So I really enjoy doing it this way. You've read it? Oh, you've read Chapter 2. Yeah, so in the podcast for Chapter 2, yesterday's podcast, the version that I read was my one, and I'm just interested to see how people go with it. A few people have said that I should keep reading my version, and I really get a kick out of reading it because I just find it funny, even though I wrote it or I translated it. Rostov was going both red and pale at the same time. At one off this and at the other. There's one thing I love about Tolstoy's writing, well, sorry, I just got distracted. There, looked first at one officer and then at the other. I love the way Tolstoy does that in his sentences, and he does this other thing where he goes, Rostov now looking at one officer and now looking at the other, kind of thing. Now doing this and now doing this. He does that in a sentence, and I don't really think we've seen any examples of that yet in the first couple of chapters. But it's a really uniquely Tolstoy kind of syntax. He came into the room, now looking at one person and now looking at this person, and it continued. And I don't know, it's just the use of the word now and now, past tense, kind of like brings you through the moment with them. It's a I don't know, it's a strange thing. I love it though, and I've preserved that as much as I can in the translation wherever I see it. I really like your version. Thanks very much, Amanda. Yeah, that means a lot to hear that. Okay, so now he's stumbling over his words. Alright, guys. That. Prove it in action. Honor of the flag. Maintaining a present. Yeah, it is like maintaining a present. You'll see it too when as you're reading. Now doing this and now doing this, and I don't know. I just love it. It's really kind of like a little poetic thing. There's some really cool things that Tolstoy does. Another thing you'll notice is, and you won't have seen it yet, but there's some great moments in the novel where characters observe nature in some way. They might be staring at a stream or a particular tree or the clouds in the sky, and he does it in the best way. It'll be in a moment where they should be doing anything but that, and it's almost like the characters are having an epiphany. And I don't want to spoil anything by giving you like examples of it, but it's really beautiful. Regarding your version, hearing it read aloud really brings the text to life, maybe having gone through the text so carefully you're more comfortable reading it. Yeah, I'd say you're right. I mean, it's written not in my voice, but yeah, in my kind of most comfortable dialect, I suppose. And so I do find it really easy to write. Also, in my own writing, aside from doing this when I write novels, my whole thing is every sentence, I want every sentence to be readable on the first attempt. I really dislike it when I'm reading a novel when I'm halfway through a sentence and I realize I'm kind of saying it wrong. Like I've got the wrong inflection. I have to go back and read it again with the correct inflection. And so I always endeavor to make all my writing so that never happens. So every sentence unfolds in front of you in a logical way so you don't stumble upon them or mess them up. And so when I read back my own version, I find it very easy to read it. I don't have to read ahead or anything like that. And yeah, I'm more familiar with it because I have already gone over it in quite close detail. All right, come, that's right, count, cried the staff. Turn around. Good man. That's it. Count. Count, cried the staff captain, turning round and clapping Rostov on the shoulder with his big hand. Looking forward to that. Exactly. By the way, do you like the sound of my keyboard? I've got this old keyboard from the early 90s. It's a buckling spring mechanical keyboard, and you've probably been hearing it for the last half hour or so. Let me show you this thing. Oh, hey, whoa. I can't pull it up much further than that. You know what I could have done is took the camera down, but I am in love with this keyboard. It's just such a joy to use. Here we go. Let me see if I can do it. Whoa. Whoa. That's it. It's reversed because the camera is reversed. Microphone. I'll mount this thing back on. Looking forward to that was referring to reading the parts you described where they are in nature. Oh, yeah. I was wondering what that unique sound was. Yeah, it does have a unique sound, doesn't it? It's bloody loud. Can't use this keyboard if there's someone like asleep in the next room because you'll wake them up. Yeah, the nature bits, it's one of the highlights of the book. There's a bit where someone is on the battlefield. I won't say who, I won't say what happens, but gets knocked down on the battlefield, lands on his back, people shooting, stabbing, dying. There's a war happening around him. He's laying on his back, and it's in the middle of an action scene, right? Which you typically, in an action scene, an author will move the pace quickly. They'll use shorter, more common words so that you can read quicker, because in action scenes in books, readers will start reading quicker and quicker. So a good author will allow for that by using easier words and shorter sentences, and more common words, so you don't have to stop and look something up, and it allows you to read quicker and quicker as the action goes on. Tolstoy, in the middle of this battle, in the moment when he should be doing that, just stops. The guy's on his back in the middle of the battlefield, and the guy notices, he's dazed and confused and terrified, and in that moment he notices how pretty the clouds are above him. And then there's like a half a page or a page just describing the clouds. And it's so effective because there's this battle going on around him, and at any time he could get stomped on by a horse or, whatever, you name it. And there's just this long description of the clouds. And he juxtaposes the beauty of nature with like the horrors of war or like intense moments. And he does it all throughout the book in different times. It's really, really effective. Keyboard sound doesn't bother you. You're used to it. That's good. I actually love the sound. I think it's kind of, it's almost like a typewriter or something. There's something soothing or relaxing about it. That's why I'm using it on this stream. I mean, I use this keyboard all the time anyway, but it kind of adds a little element of, there's times when I just get focused and I forget to even talk. And if you're tuned in and you're watching along, at least you got the nice soothing sounds of the keyboard. It's almost like those channels on YouTube where it's just a fire crackling in the background. Getting chills. Yeah, it's really good. It's not far into the book either. I think it might even be in book 2 or book 3. It'll happen in, I'd say, before March. At the pace we're going, it'll be in like February, March when you'll get to that chapter. It's really good. With his big hand. All right. Tell you what, shouted Denisov. What's Stov? Denisov has this funny lisp where he he pronounces words wrong. Tell you what, he's a top bloke. Said the staff captain. Rostov. Huddle. Guys, oh, one shall word an imploring voice. With the speech impediment, I read online some arguments regarding the way that was presented. Yeah, there's some interesting things saying that it wasn't meant to be a speech impediment, and it was like, in the Russian version, it's to show that he had, I think it was to show he had a French or something, no, maybe not French. He had a particular accent on his Russian speaking, which made his speech a little bit skewed like that. And then when translated from Russian to English, it just came across like he had a speech impediment, and that kind of just became the accepted thing. But I don't think originally it was intended to be an impediment. It was just an accent that Tolstoy was trying to represent. Is that what you read online? Something like that, Amanda? The hell is Kristen? Thank you, that makes so much more sense. Yeah. That came up a couple of years ago in one of the daily discussions about Denisov, and it does make sense. But then it's also kind of an obscure thing where I think even some of the other translators into English just went with it as if it was a speech impediment. Yeah, it's more of a stylized way of speech rather than a speech disorder. Yeah, exactly. It's an accent, I think was literally all it was. But I can't remember what accent it was, and I can't even remember what I think he's speaking Russian with a something accent. But then it gets confusing because these guys speak French and Russian, and quite often they're speaking French. All right, no, on my word, it's not obstinacy. Okay, obstinacy. That's a hell of a word. Captain. Denisov. Reported himself sick, so he struck off the list tomorrow. Oh, they say it's a autocorrecting my tomorrow. I say it's an accent, but it comes and goes with Denisov. Some sentences, like here. Oh no, that's not Denisov speaking. Sometimes when Denisov speaks, there's no sign of any kind of speech impediment, and other times it's littered with kind of W's where they shouldn't be. Illness. Oh no, he'd. Sheltered. That's crap. Just then Zirkov entered the room. Nope. Whoops. Closing in on the end here. Getting excited. Into action. I've been sent back to the regiment. An Austrian general. On max arrival. All I did was what's wrong with you? Stuff. Nice. Nearly there, nearly there, nearly there. Oh, my dear fellow, we're in such a stew here these last 2 days. Ah, mate. We've been up shit creek. Yeah, the last few days. The regimental adjutant came in. Under orders to advance the next day. Into action, gents. Wow. Done. Done. Here you're going to see, Amanda, another thing unique in this book is that they're all so giddy and excited to go to war. Like, they love it. They just love the idea of going into battle. Even we're looking at a battlefield and people dying and blowing up and whatever, and they're just like, you'd think they'd be scared to run in, but they're all like giddy and almost like manic and happy to be there. And even you're starting to see that here in these chapters. We haven't actually seen any action yet, fighting wise, but they're in the army and they've travelled abroad to do what needs to be done. And here, they've just been told they're going to go into action the next day because their ally has surrendered, which is a bad thing. And they're thrilled. They're so happy. So it's weird. And that keeps happening all throughout this book. All right, there's today's chapter done. I'll probably wrap it up there. I'll see you tonight for another podcast or on the subreddit. Thanks for hanging out. It's good to have your company. Ding the bell on the subscribe thing if you haven't already, and then next time I go online, it'll tell you, Andy is starting to stream. All right, cheers. I'll catch you soon.